The Miracle Morning, the not-so-obvious secret guaranteed to transform your life before 8 a.m., by Hal Elrod. Introduction. It was 11:32 p.m. A brand new white Ford Mustang was rocketing down the freeway at 70 miles per hour. At the wheel was a 20-year-old named Hal Elrod. Life, for Hal, was great. He was a top performer at a huge marketing company, had a loving girlfriend, a supportive family, and friends a guy could only dream of. Just 2 hours earlier, he'd given the best speech of his life and received his first ever standing ovation. He was, as they say, on top of the world. He couldn't have known that in a matter of seconds, his world would end. Out of the darkness, the headlights of a massive Chevrolet truck appeared, coming directly at him. The driver was drunk, and the truck was traveling at over 80 miles per hour. The sound of screaming metal was the last thing Hal heard before the airbags exploded, rendering him unconscious. His brain slammed into the front of his skull, destroying a large part of his frontal lobe. The impact was so violent that a car behind him, driven by a 16-year-old, couldn't stop. It crashed into his driver's side door at 70 miles per hour. The metal roof caved in on his head. His left arm broke, his elbow shattered. His pelvis fractured in 3 places. The largest bone in his body, his femur, snapped in half. When the emergency rescue teams arrived, they had to use the jaws of life to cut his bloody body from the wreckage. As they pulled him out, his heart stopped beating. He stopped breathing. Clinically, Hal Elrod was dead. For 6 minutes, he was gone. But what happened next was nothing short of a miracle. Paramedics worked tirelessly, and, against all odds, they brought him back. Hal spent 6 days in a coma and woke up to the news that he had permanent brain damage and would likely never walk again. This is where most stories of this kind would end. But for Hal, this was just the beginning. This devastating tragedy became the unlikely seed for a global movement, a book that has sold millions of copies, and a simple yet profound idea that has transformed the lives of people all over the world. It's an idea that promises you can wake up every day to your full potential. Today, we're going to explore that idea. We're going to journey into the heart of Hal Elrod's remarkable book, The Miracle Morning. And I'll make you a promise. By the end of our time together, you will understand the not-so-obvious secret that can fundamentally change not just your mornings, but the entire trajectory of your life. You'll see how one man, who faced death and utter despair, not once but twice, discovered a framework so powerful that it can take anyone, no matter their circumstances, from a life of mediocrity to one of true fulfillment. So, let's begin. Book summary. Have you ever had that feeling, deep down, that you're capable of more? That there's a better version of yourself just waiting to be unlocked, but you feel stuck? You know what you should be doing? Exercising, reading, working on your goals? But you just can't seem to find the time or the motivation. Life gets in the way. You wake up, you're tired, you rush through the day, and you go to bed feeling like you've just survived, not thrived. If that sounds familiar, you're not alone. In fact, you're in the company of about 95% of society. That's a staggering number, isn't it? According to the Social Security Administration, if you follow 100 people from the start of their careers for 40 years, only 1 will be wealthy. 4 will be financially secure. The other 95 will still be working, broke, or worse. They will have settled for a life of mediocrity, not because they wanted to, but because they never made a conscious decision to escape it. This is what Hal Elrod calls the 95% reality check. It's the quiet desperation that most people live with every day. They are slightly overweight, slightly in debt, and slightly unhappy with their jobs. They live with a constant, low-grade sense of regret, knowing they could have been, done, and had so much more. So the crucial question is, how do you join the top 5%? How do you break free from the gravitational pull of mediocrity that holds almost everyone down? It's not about luck. It's not about talent. It's about understanding the invisible forces that cause us to settle. Hal identifies a few of these forces, and the first one is perhaps the most powerful. He calls it rear-view mirror syndrome. All of us have a rear-view mirror in our minds, and we spend most of our time looking into it. We continuously relive and recreate our past. We believe that who we were is who we are. We filter every decision, every goal, every possibility through the limitations of our past experiences. If we failed before, we expect to fail again. If we've never achieved at a certain level, we assume we can't. Research shows that the average person has about 50,000 to 60,000 thoughts per day. But here's the problem: 95% of those thoughts are the same ones we had yesterday. And the day before that. We are literally programming ourselves to stay the same. Another cause of mediocrity is that most people isolate incidents. We think to ourselves, oh, it's no big deal if I hit the snooze button this morning, or missing one workout won't kill me, or eating this junk food is fine, I'll do better tomorrow. We make the mistake of thinking that each choice only affects that one moment. But Hal argues that this couldn't be further from the truth. How you do anything is how you do everything. Every time you hit snooze, you're not just choosing 10 more minutes of sleep. You are programming your mind that it's okay to not follow through on your commitments. You are shaping your identity into that of a person who takes the easy way out. Each small, seemingly insignificant choice adds up, defining who you are becoming, which in turn determines the quality of your entire life. And perhaps the most significant cause is the simplest: a lack of urgency. We all live with a someday mindset. Someday I'll get in shape. Someday I'll write that book. Someday I'll start that business. But someday is a disease that will take your dreams to the grave with you. Now is the only time you have. What you do today determines who you are becoming, and who you are becoming determines where you end up. Hal Elrod came to understand these forces not through academic study, but through immense personal pain. You see, his car accident wasn't his only rock bottom. In fact, he says his second one was even harder. It was 2007. The United States economy had just crashed. Almost overnight, Hal's income was cut in half. His successful coaching business was failing. His clients couldn't afford him anymore. He had just bought his first home, and now he couldn't make the mortgage payments. He was $425,000 in debt. For the first time in his life, he became severely depressed. He says this time was worse than being dead. After his accident, people cared for him. He had visitors, doctors, and nurses. But this time, he was on his own. He was overwhelmed with fear and hopelessness. The only comfort he found was crawling into bed at night to escape his problems. He even had thoughts of suicide, not because he would ever act on them, but because he just couldn't see a way out of the pain. He had hit his second rock bottom. And it was here, in this state of pure desperation, that the idea for the miracle morning was born. A friend, seeing how much he was struggling, gave him some simple advice. "Hal," he said, "start running. It'll help you feel better and think clearer." Hal hated running. But he was desperate. So one morning, he laced up his basketball shoes, put on an old iPod, and went for a run. As he was running, listening to a personal development audio by the great Jim Rohn, he heard a sentence that stopped him in his tracks. Rohn said, "Your level of success will rarely exceed your level of personal development, because success is something you attract by the person you become." It was like a tidal wave of reality came crashing down on him. In that moment, he realized the problem. He wanted level 10 success in his life, level 10 health, wealth, and happiness. But his level of personal development? It was maybe a 2. This, he realized, is the fundamental problem for all of us. We all want a level 10 life, but if we aren't actively developing ourselves into a level 10 person, life will always be a struggle. Our outer world is always a reflection of our inner world. He ran straight home, filled with a new sense of purpose. He knew the solution. He had to dedicate time every single day to his personal development. He had to become the person he needed to be to create the life he wanted. But then came the next challenge, the one we all face: finding the time. He was already so busy just trying to survive. When could he possibly fit this in? The evening? No, that was the only time he had with his fiancée. The middle of the day? No, extra time never just appears. Then he considered the one time he dreaded most: the morning. He was not a morning person. Waking up at 6 a.m. was already a struggle. The idea of waking up at 5 a.m. seemed insane. But then he remembered something his mentor, Kevin Bracey, always told him: "Hal, if you want your life to be different, you have to be willing to do something different first." He knew it was true. So, he made a decision. He would wake up at 5 a.m. the next morning. But what would he do during that hour? He didn't want it to just be reading or exercising. He wanted to do the things that would make the biggest impact, the fastest. So he took out a piece of paper and wrote down all of the most powerful personal development practices he had learned over the years but never consistently implemented. Things like meditation, affirmations, journaling, and visualization. He chose 6 activities and decided to spend 10 minutes on each one. That night, he could hardly sleep. For the first time in a long time, he was genuinely excited for the morning to come. When the alarm went off at 5 a.m., his eyes shot wide open. He didn't hit snooze. He sprang out of bed, feeling energized. He said it felt like being a kid on Christmas morning. He went to his living room couch, and one by one, he went through his new routine. First, silence. For 10 minutes, he just sat. He prayed, he meditated, he focused on his breathing. He felt his stress melt away. A sense of calm and peace washed over him. Next, affirmations. He pulled out an affirmation from the book Think and Grow Rich and read it aloud, reminding himself of his unlimited potential. Then, he wrote his own, clarifying who he was committed to being and what he was committed to doing to change his life. He felt empowered. Then, visualization. He looked at a vision board he had made years ago but rarely used. For 10 minutes, he closed his eyes and felt what it would be like to achieve each of his goals. He felt inspired. After that, exercise. He remembered Tony Robbins saying, "Motion creates emotion." He dropped to the floor and did push-ups and sit-ups, then did 6 minutes of a yoga video. He felt energized. Next, reading. He picked up a book he had started but never finished, Napoleon Hill's classic, Think and Grow Rich. He read for 10 minutes and picked up ideas he could use that very day. He felt motivated. Finally, scribing, or writing. He opened a blank journal and for the first time in a long time, he started to write. He wrote down everything he was grateful for. Almost immediately, he felt his depression begin to lift. It wasn't gone, but it felt lighter. By 6 a.m., he had experienced one of the most peaceful, motivating, and empowering hours of his entire life. This daily routine became his lifeline. His stress levels dropped. His energy and clarity skyrocketed. Thoughts of depression became a distant memory. In less than 2 months, his income was not only back to where it was before the crash, it was higher than ever before. The transformation was so profound, so fast, that it felt like a miracle. And so he gave it a name, the Miracle Morning. He started sharing it with his coaching clients. A woman named Katie, who swore she was not a morning person, tried it. A week later, she was on fire, telling Hal she now woke up at 5 a.m. every day because she loved it so much. Soon, people Hal had never met were posting on social media about their own miracle mornings. He even found a video on YouTube from a man named Joe Diashana, who was filming himself at 5:41 a.m. on a Sunday. Joe looked into the camera and said, with genuine joy, "It feels like Christmas to me, honestly. It's like Christmas every day now." That's when Hal realized he had a responsibility to share this with the world. The miracle morning wasn't just his routine anymore, it was a movement. At the heart of this movement are the 6 practices he discovered that morning. He turned them into an acronym to make them easy to remember: Life SAVERS. The S is for silence. In our noisy, fast-paced world, this might be the most important practice of all. It's not just the absence of noise, it's purposeful silence. This can be meditation, prayer, deep breathing, or simple reflection and gratitude. Starting your day with just a few minutes of purposeful silence reduces stress, increases self-awareness, and gives you the clarity to focus on what truly matters. It's about calming the chaos of your mind before the day begins, so you can start from a place of peace and presence. The A is for affirmations. All of us have an internal dialogue running through our heads all day long. For most people, that dialogue is unconscious and often negative, replaying old fears and insecurities. Affirmations are about taking control of that self-talk. It's about proactively designing and writing down what you want to achieve, who you need to be to achieve it, and why it's important to you. By reading these affirmations aloud every day with emotion, you begin to reprogram your subconscious mind. You overwrite your limiting beliefs with empowering ones. Hal used this very technique to overcome his belief that he had a horrible memory after his brain damage. He affirmed every day that his memory was excellent and getting better, and within 2 months, his reality began to match his affirmation. The V is for visualization. This is the practice of creating a clear mental picture of what you want to achieve. But it's not just about seeing the end result. It's also about mentally rehearsing the steps you'll need to take to get there. You see yourself performing your tasks with ease and confidence. You feel the emotions of success before you've achieved it. This primes your brain for success and generates the motivation you need to take action, especially when you don't feel like it. Celebrities from Will Smith to Oprah have sworn by this practice, using it to visualize their success long before it became a reality. The E is for exercise. Morning exercise is a non-negotiable for high achievers. Even just a few minutes of getting your heart rate up, jumping jacks, push-ups, a short walk, or yoga, boosts your energy, enhances your mental clarity, and improves your emotional well-being for the rest of the day. It floods your brain with oxygen and endorphins, making you more focused and positive. The beauty of doing it first thing in the morning is that you get it done before the day has a chance to drain your willpower and provide you with 1,000 excuses not to. The R is for reading. Reading is the fast track to transforming any area of your life. If you want to achieve anything, the fastest way is to learn from the experts who have already done it. There are books on every subject imaginable. Hal recommends a simple commitment: read just 10 pages a day. It doesn't sound like much, but if you do that every day, it adds up to 3,650 pages a year. That's about 18 200-page books. Imagine how much more knowledgeable, capable, and confident you would be after reading 18 books on self-improvement in the next year. And finally, the second S is for scribing, or writing in a journal. Getting your thoughts out of your head and onto paper provides incredible clarity. It allows you to document your insights, ideas, breakthroughs, and lessons learned. It's also a powerful way to practice gratitude and acknowledge your progress. At the end of the year, Looking back through your journal is one of the most constructive things you can do. You see how far you've come, you recapture lessons you've forgotten, and you accelerate your growth for the year ahead. Now, you might be thinking, this sounds great, but an hour? I don't have an hour. And Hal thought of that. He created a 6-minute version of the miracle morning for those days when you're incredibly busy. Imagine this. Minute 1. You sit in purposeful silence, breathing deeply, feeling calm and centered. Minute 2. You read your affirmations aloud, reminding yourself of your goals and your potential. Minute 3. You close your eyes and visualize your day going perfectly. Minute 4. You write down one thing you're grateful for and one top priority for the day. Minute 5. You read one page from a self-help book. Minute 6. You spend 60 seconds moving your body, jumping jacks, push-ups, running in place. 6 minutes. That's all it takes. Anyone can find 6 minutes. It's a powerful, focused ritual that sets the tone for a productive and positive day, no matter how busy you are. But knowing what to do is only half the battle. The real challenge is making it a habit. How many times have you started a new routine, full of motivation, only to fall off the wagon a week later? This is where most people fail. But Hal provides a strategy for this too, and it's one of the most powerful parts of the book. He breaks down the process of forming a new habit into a 30-day challenge, divided into 3 10-day phases. Phase 1, days 1 to 10, is called unbearable. The first 10 days are the hardest. The newness wears off, and reality sets in. Your body resists, your mind complains. If your new habit is waking up early, this is when you'll feel the most tired and have the strongest urge to hit snooze. This is where 95% of people quit. They mistakenly believe that this is how the new habit will always feel. But the secret is knowing that this phase is temporary. If you know it's going to be unbearable for just 10 days, you can push through it. Phase 2, days 11 to 20, is called uncomfortable. After you get through the first 10 days, it gets easier. The habit is no longer unbearable, but it's still uncomfortable. You're getting used to it, but it doesn't feel natural yet. It still requires discipline and commitment. The temptation to fall back into your old ways is still there, but it's weaker. Phase 3, days 21 to 30, is called unstoppable. This is the home stretch, and it's where the real transformation happens. After 21 days, the habit is formed. Now, you spend the last 10 days reinforcing it and associating pleasure with it. You start to feel proud of yourself. The habit stops being something you do and starts becoming part of who you are. You no longer think of yourself as someone who is trying to wake up early. You now identify as a morning person. This is the crucial phase that cements the habit for life. Hal himself lived this process when he decided to become a runner. Remember, he hated running. But he committed to this 30-day strategy. The first 10 days were pure pain. The next 10 were uncomfortable but manageable. And by the final 10 days, he was starting to enjoy it. Just a few months later, the man who hated running completed a 52-mile ultramarathon. He proved that you don't have to be born with discipline. You can build it. And this 30-day framework is the blueprint. The miracle morning, then, is more than just a morning routine. It's a philosophy. It's the radical idea that the first hour of your day is the rudder that steers the rest of your day. A focused, productive, successful morning generates a focused, productive, successful day, which inevitably creates a successful life. In the same way, an unfocused, lazy, mediocre morning generates an unfocused, mediocre day, and ultimately, a mediocre life. It all comes down to a choice. The choice to stop settling. The choice to stop looking in the rearview mirror and start creating a compelling future. And the choice to dedicate time, every single day, to becoming the person you need to be to create the life you truly want. Because as Hal Elrod discovered in the depths of his despair, where you are is a result of who you were, but where you go depends entirely on who you choose to be, from this moment on. Commentary. When you really boil it down, the miracle morning is built on a single, powerful truth: your life gets better only after you get better. It's a simple idea, but it's not an easy one. It asks you to take complete ownership of your life. It says that no matter your circumstances, no matter your past, you have the power to change your future by changing who you are, starting today. What I find so compelling about this book isn't just the what, the 6 practices of the life S.A.V.E.R.S. but the why and the how. The why is Hal Elrod's incredible story. This isn't a theory from an academic in an ivory tower. This is a system forged in the fires of unimaginable adversity. When a man who was declared dead, who was told he would never walk again, and who later lost everything and fell into a deep depression tells you he found a way out, you listen. His story gives the practices a weight and an authenticity they wouldn't otherwise have. And the how is the 30-day habit formation strategy. This is where the book becomes truly practical. So many self-help books tell you what you should do, but they fail to give you a realistic plan for integrating those ideas into your life. Hal acknowledges that change is hard. He tells you up front that the first 10 days will be unbearable. That honesty is refreshing, and it's empowering. When you know to expect the struggle, you're no longer a victim of it, you're prepared for it. You can see it for what it is: a temporary toll you have to pay on the road to becoming unstoppable. The most profound lesson in this book, for me, is the idea of waking up with purpose, not just to an alarm clock. For most of us, the morning is a reaction. We wake up because we have to be somewhere, do something, answer to someone. We start our day in a state of resistance. The miracle morning flips that on its head. It turns the first hour of the day into a proactive, intentional time dedicated to your most important asset, you. It's a daily declaration that your growth matters. It's a commitment to designing your life, not just defaulting to it. If there is one thing you can take away from our journey today and apply immediately, let it be this: try the 6-minute miracle tomorrow morning. Don't overthink it. Don't worry about doing it perfectly. Just set your alarm 6 minutes earlier than usual. Before you check your phone, before you let the chaos of the world in, give yourself those 6 minutes. 1 minute for each of the life SAVERS. See how it feels. See how it changes the tone of your day. It's a small investment, but the returns, as thousands have discovered, can be miraculous. That was a summary of The Miracle Morning by Hal Elrod. We've touched on the main ideas today, but a summary is like looking at a photograph of a beautiful landscape. It gives you a sense of its beauty, but it can never replace the experience of actually being there. The real magic of a book like this happens in the quiet moments of reading, when a particular story or a simple sentence connects with you in a way you didn't expect. This summary is designed to help you decide if this journey is one you want to take. If anything we've talked about today has struck a chord with you, I encourage you to grab a copy. Reading it isn't just about learning, it's an experience that can genuinely change how you greet each new day. You can find a link to the book in the description below. Also, if you found this summary valuable, please take a moment to like this video and subscribe to the channel. That way, you won't miss our next deep dive into another life-changing book. Let's keep growing together.